Hello, dear friends. Here we are with another study of the book Courage, psychographed by Francisco Cândido Xavier. The book Courage features many messages from several spirit authors. And today we'll continue our study of the book by studying with Emmanuel, chapter 44. That he titled At the Time of Patience. So let's start with the wisdom for today. Emmanuel says, quote, when disturbing events emerge, impelling you to go forward, as if you were under strong torment, when manifestations of cruelty impose you on your suffering, when darkness dominates your strength through through affliction, when you are betrayed by those who you most love, when trials come to stay a long time with you as a purifying instrument, when ignorance challenges you, threatening your work, when beloved friends leave, hence imposing on you solitude and disenchantment, when setbacks and disharmony at home impels you bitter times, when slander crosses your path, tempting you to revolt and retaliation, when at last all your ideas and aspirations related to goodness seems overshadowed by evil. Then you have to come to the most important task of daily life, thus becoming the testimony of patience. When you will forgive and bless, act and construct peacefully in this precious and very difficult opportunity of elevation, the life points you forward. Do not say that serenity expresses weakness in the presence of those who cultivate violence, as if you did not have dignity for a proper reaction. However, at the time of offense, it is necessary for much more interior strength to dominate oneself and then forget it, than to retaliate to the detriment of one's neighbor. Therefore, let us be sure that between offending and enduring, the strength of the Spirit resides with patience, which is always capable of tolerating and understanding, of serving and restarting incessantly the work of goodness based on love, so that life remains without any means of continuity in a luminous and constant ascension. Emmanuel. So, how is your patience today? So, first, he lists quite a few things that may afflict us in this life. Disturbing events, right? We are always looking around at a news cycle that is 24/7, something tragedy of is happening, manifestations of cruelty, darkness, when you're betrayed, when trials come to stay for a long time, let's say a chronic illness, for example. 6, ignorance challenging us. 7, beloved friends leaving us. 8, setbacks and disharmony at home. Slander crossing our path, and our ideas and aspirations relating to goodness being overshadowed by evil. Then he lists 10 things that could potentially afflict us in this lifetime and probably in lifetimes past when we experienced this before, right? So what do? He says, then, if any of these, he says, you will have the most important test, becoming the testimony of patience. Because if we're here together talking about this, most of us are not patient when disturbing events emerge, when cruelty is around us, when darkness is dominating, when we're betrayed, when trials come to stay a long time, when ignorance is challenging us, when friends leave, when we have issues at home, when we are crossing paths to slander, and when evil is overshadowing our ideas of good. Many of us rebel, revolt, are angry, distressed, and he says this is the time where we will be the testimony of patience. Now, as we were preparing this, I say we because we're never alone, right? You have your mentors with us, I have mine. And when we're doing the work of goodness, the good spirits are with us. So they're inspiring us to think of the 10 things we mentioned that we see, because we're still very self-centered, like what's happening to us at every given moment. All of these Jesus experienced. Jesus experienced disturbing events, cruelty, darkness. He was betrayed. He had trials, right? He was trialed. Probably didn't have trials as a purifying instrument because he was a superior spirit already. Beloved friends left him, didn't understand. There were setbacks and disharmonies in his own home. Slander, he was slandered, right? And his ideas of goodness were overshadowed by the evil that we did to him when we murdered him at the cross. And he was the testimony of patience. So he came from the higher realms to incarnate on the earth, to experience these things, to show us that it's possible. He came to show us what it is to be a human on earth's level of development, how it is possible to be the testimony of patience when any of those things occurred. And his disciples, if you go to the Gospels, if you go Gospels as in the New Testament, if you go to the books of Emmanuel, especially Paul and Stephen, you will see the struggles that his apostles that were prepared and blessed and guided, but just like you and I, in many aspects, they overcome so much and they were bastions of patience, right? He says, you then, so what do you do? Because Emmanuel has this structure to a lot of his messages we study here. He shows us a problem, gives very basic examples, basic practical examples from our life on the earth. And then he tells us what to do. He says, forgive and bless, act and construct peacefully in this precious and very difficult opportunity of elevation that life is pointing us to go forward. So while we understand that many of us will fall in despair, depression, even science of today shows that the best remedy to depression is a multi-disciplinary approach that includes volunteering. And what is volunteering? Is removing us from our center, being the center of attention, to focus on the needs of others in conjunction with medicine, psychiatrists, psychologists, interventions for those who are at risk of hurting self and others. So that's important. But being active, the laws of work, the laws not of idleness, the laws of work, forgiving, blessing, acting, and constructing peacefully. Because we don't want to stay on this cycle of, oh, poor me, I go through all these difficulties. I can't be in the center because my family, my activities, my work, it's action and construction, always moving forward. Paul, talking about Jesus, overcome all of these, was the testimony of patience on the earth. He kept going, he kept serving, he kept blessing, he kept spreading the good news. Paul was the same. He endured all of these and he kept going. He would travel, found churches and leave, found churches and leave, and keep going. So the importance of keeping moving, because stagnant water grows bacteria, right? Is a metaphor. Do not say that serenity express weakness in the presence of those who cultivate violence. So when we see someone being violent, serenity is not weakness, it's actually strength. It's much easier for us to match the wavelength of those who are angry, upset, violent. You see these videos of people demanding absurd things from others in service industries. It's very easy for us to lower vibration and engage, to be serene, to explain, to be polite, to be the model of how to act when someone is disappointed. It takes way more strength than it is weakness. But in this society, we still see serenity as weakness, as if you did not have dignity for a proper reaction. That's our animalistic mindset, that we have to, you know, hit an eye for an eye. But we never see Jesus attacking anybody. We don't see any of the mentors and superior spirits in André Luiz books being violent and seen as weak because they are serene. It's the opposite. It takes strength not to engage in that wavelength. At the time of offense, it's necessary for much more interior strength to dominate oneself than forget it, than to retaliate to the detriment of one's neighbor. Therefore, let us be sure that between offending and enduring, the strength of the Spirit resides with patience, which is always capable of tolerating and understanding, serving and restarting incessantly the work of goodness based on love, so that life remains without any means, so that life remains in a luminous and constant ascension, the laws of progress. To be this testimony of patience, he's saying here, it is to tolerate, understand, serve, and restart the work of goodness. So we keep on going, we press on, as Emmanuel says so many times for us, especially in the book Living Spring. So if today you find yourself in a difficult position, we can ask, can I be more patient? What would Jesus do? He would be more patient. He would continue to work, continue to do, and continue to offer his love and kindness to all of those, even those who hurt him and ultimately murdered him, which was the ultimate sacrifice, right, of his time on the earth. So in the time of patience is today, dear friends. Whatever difficulties, trials, slander, problems at home, someone left you, it all shall pass. It will all pass. The superior spirits are by your side. They're by the side of your loved ones. So let's pray for our strength. Let's pray for them. Let's go to the center and pray. Let's put their names in the book of prayer. Let's go do volunteer work. Let's come together as in a community for a common purpose. In the time of patience is now. So, dear friends, do everything that the times of today require of us. Remember, Paul used the letter, Jesus used the word, we use the internet. So let's make sure that we can share, we can like, we can subscribe, so that when time comes, this message of patience can reach someone else who may be in need. And I hope to see you again, God willing, next week with another study of the book Courage. Until then, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.